continue reading from Advaita Prakasha. Go to chapter 15. And this is the pastimes, Chaitanya Leela, by the disciple, the direct disciple of Lord Advaita. And this is chapter 15. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to Shri Chaitanya, all glories to Sitanath, all glories to Nityananda, along with all the devotees. Now, I will describe Advaita Prabhu's other main branches. I have not described them previously to avoid breaking the sequence of events. The fourth son of Sita Devi was born in the month of Posha, December-January 1504. Some people said, Indra has appeared, and others said, Chandra has appeared. In due course of time, an astrologer came and calculated the newborn boy's horoscope. He said, the child is the incarnation of Kuvera. Kamala, Lakshmi, has bestowed great mercy on him. He'll be very handsome and as intelligent as Brihaspati. He will put forward false argument against the principles of religion, but by the association of devotees, he eventually will be freed from illusion. After hearing the astrologer's prediction, the devotees chanted the name of Harih, and the ladies joyfully made auspicious sounds of hulu. The Brahmin said, this boy will be very strong, therefore I name him Balaram. When Balaram attained the age of 7 months, Sitanath held the child's first grain ceremony. He organized a large festival wherein he offered foodstuffs to Krishna, and then fed the blind, the poor, the Brahmins, and the Vaishnavas. He pleased everyone by giving them small conch shells and cloth. In return, they offered their blessings to the child before returning to their residences. Twin sons were then born to Sita Devi in the month of Jyeshta, May-June 1508. At the appropriate time, the name-giving ceremony was held, and the children were named Swarup and Jagadish. The astrologer said, both boys will be as intelligent as kings in materialistic knowledge. They will be equal to Lava and Kusha in the development of love and affection, and they will have melodious voices equal to those of Gandharvas. At the proper time, the ceremony of giving the children their first rice was joyfully held. Advaita happily fed the Brahmins and Vaishnavas, gave cloth and conch shells in charity, and everyone blessed the children. After offering arati to Krishna one day, Advaita Prabhu joined the devotees in loudly chanting the holy names. At that time, one Vaishnav came and told Advaita that some news from Nadia. The Vaishnav said, Nima has left home. He said, he went to Kantaka Nagara and had his head shaved. Keshava Bharati has initiated him into sannyas and given him the name Shri Krishna Chaitanya. In lamentation, Mother Sachi has lost external consciousness. She sometimes faints and falls to the ground, whether the place is proper or not. Sometimes she calls out Nimai's name and cries loudly. Her grief is like a thunderbolt that breaks apart stone. Sometimes she runs here and there like a madwoman, and sometimes she goes to the bank of the Ganges to kill herself. The condition of Vishnupriya cannot possibly be described. The incessant flow of her tears inundates the world. Advaita Prabhu was stunned on hearing the Vaishnava's description. After 3 hours, he began crying. Understanding the reason for Advaita's behavior, Sita also cried loudly. The associates of Advaita all merged in an ocean of lamentation. After 3 more hours, Advaita began laughing loudly. Who has the ability to understand his activities? The dawning of Gaura's ecstatic love had arrived. Advaita Prabhu then said to his intimate devotees, "One may cross the great ocean after a long time, but one will never cross the ocean of Krishna's mercy. Krishna manifests various pastimes for the deliverance of the living entities, and he displays great humility to fulfill the desires of the devotees. All the scriptures declare that Krishna is always controlled by his devotees, and this is substantiated by his pastime." While speaking these words, Advaita became overwhelmed with love and said, "I can understand your confidential activities. You have taken sannyas in order to educate people, just as an actor enchants the audience with different dresses." Then Advaita Chanda regained external senses and began to perform loud sankirtan. At that time, Shri Acharya Ratna Mahashaya came to the house of Sitanath. Seeing him, Advaita Prabhu anxiously inquired, "Please tell me, what is the news from Nadia?" Shri Acharya Ratna replied, "Listen, Goshani, after taking sannyas, Nimai has come here." Thrilled, Advaita Prabhu said, "Where is he?" Acharya Ratna said, "He's on the other side of the Ganges. Take a boat and bring him here. He has been fasting continuously for 4 days in his ecstasy of love for Krishna." Hearing this, my Lord was distressed and he exclaimed, "Alas, alas!" He quickly went, took a boat across the Ganges. Upon seeing Advaita, Gaur, who was absorbed in love, said, "How surprising, Acharya! You have come to Vrindavan." Advaita Prabhu replied, "The scriptures all declare that wherever you are, that is Vrindavan." Saying this, Advaita Prabhu brought Sri Chaitanya and Nityananda across the Ganges to Shantipur. When Mother Sita saw Gauranga in the dress of a sannyasi, her lamentation was beyond description. She then controlled herself and began to cook rice, various vegetables, cakes, and other preparations that Gauranga likes. With great devotion, she cooked large quantities of divinely fragrant nectarine foods. She decorated each preparation with tulsi manjaris and joyfully offered everything to Krishna. Then Gaur and Nityananda were invited for prasad and attentively offered appropriate seats. On Advaita Acharya's request, Gauranga and Nityananda sat down to eat, while Advaita Prabhu stood there to serve them. On seeing this, Gauranga smiled and said to Sitanath, "Sacrifice can never be successful without the presence of Lord Shiva." Advaita Prabhu smiled and said, "You are the origin of Shiva. By your grace, all living entities can attain auspiciousness." Mahaprabhu then said, "Give up this pretension. I cannot eat anything without you." Nityananda laughed loudly and said, "Oh, kind-hearted Gauranga, please listen to me. Don't pay much attention to this gluttonous Brahmin. If he eats with 4 hands, he will still be unsatisfied. Sometimes he eats as voraciously as fire. No one else has struck such mystic potency." Hearing this, Shri Advaita laughed and said in loving anger, "You enjoy in one place after another like a showman who displays different forms. You alone eat with unlimited mouths, so who will be able to satisfy your hunger?" Gauranga smiled while listening to Nityananda and Advaita reveal the truth about each other. Taking the role of a mediator, Mahaprabhu said, "You two are comparable in your eating." In a mood of pure devotion, Advaita Prabhu replied, "You alone are immeasurable in this world. Unlimited universes are balanced by you. I don't see any scale that can perform such a feat." Thus Mahaprabhu and the 2 Prabhus directly and indirectly revealed the absolute truth. After eating, the three lords took rest. Later, they spoke highly about the great potency of good association. They raised their arms and declared, "Listen, everyone, about the inconceivable nature of saintly association. Thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street, more tolerant than a tree, devoid of the desire for honor, always ready to offer respect to others, and constantly chanting the holy names. These are the personal characteristics of devotees. Therefore everyone should take shelter at the feet of the devotees, and thus attain the eternal treasure of the Supreme Truth. Who can understand the purport of the unlimited scriptures? Only one who follows the path of the devotees. The devotees accept the essence of the scriptures, and they reveal the proper path that is easily accessible. One who follows that path has eyes to see, and one who turns away from that path is like a blind man. Just as glasses can only be cut by a diamond, and a needle can be threaded only if there is a hole, similarly, a fool can cross over the material world only if he follows the path shown by the devotees. That is why sages of the past have said that the heart cannot be purified without the association of saintly persons. It's the nature of saintly persons to be kind to all living entities. That nature is endowed in others only through association. Just as the worm naturally becomes a weevil by association, without the association of devotees, one cannot engage in devotional service to Krishna or attain saintly qualities. Even if one is most sinful and misbehaved, he is certainly purified by the rising sun of a devotee's association. By contact with a touchstone, iron is turned into gold. Similarly, by association with devotees, living entities attain the spiritual world. In this way, they spoke about eternal religious principles, and all the Vaishnavas present there were drowned in ecstasy. Meanwhile, in Navadvip, Mother Sachi heard that Gauranga had gone to Shantipur. All the devotees in Nadia met together and joyfully went to Shantipur. When Sri Chaitanya saw his mother, he offered obeisances. And Mother Sachi began to cry. She said, "Nimai, on seeing you in this dress, I feel like my heart is being pierced with sharp arrows." Gradually, the waves of Mother Sachi's ocean of lamentation expanded, and all living entities began floating in that current. Mahaprabhu then explained the purpose of life to his mother. She became free from all lamentation. Then Sachi cooked fine rice and varieties of vegetables that were dear to Gaur. She also cooked sweet rice and other sweet meats that were just like nectar. Sri Chaitanya, along with his associates, blissfully enjoyed the feast. The happiness they enjoyed for the next few days in the house of Sitanath was beyond description. During the day, Mahaprabhu would give instructions on chanting the holy names, and at night he would join the devotees in Sankirtan. They all became mad in the ecstasy of love, and their tears inundated the town of Shantipur. One day, in a sweet voice, Gauranga asked permission to leave. On hearing this, the devotees felt overwhelmed with poisonous lamentation. That burning sensation troubled everyone with great anxiety. What can I say about the fire of Sachi's lamentation? Even Agni would have been burnt to ashes. Mother Sachi exclaimed, "Alas, leaving me in lamentation, where will you go? Why don't you stay here and worship the Lord?" Mahaprabhu replied, "Don't speak like that. Religious principles forbid a sannyasi to remain near his residence." Though Sri Sachi Devi is the reservoir of motherly affection, she nonetheless conquered ignorance and instructed her son. "Vrindavan is far away. Stay in Sri Purushottama Kshetra, Jagannath Puri, so I can get news about you." Sri Gauranga accepted his mother's order on his head. As he departed, his dear devotees fell at his feet and begged, "We don't know whether we will see you again or not. Let us see you this last time to mitigate our distress." Sri Chaitanya felt compassionate and said, "Don't lament for me. Birth after birth, we have never been separated for even a moment, just as we've held festivals together in this life. The next 2 lives, we will again have festivals. I have only an empty body, which you are my 5 life heirs. Leaving you, where can I go? But for now, I must maintain the religious principles of sannyas by traveling to various holy places. You should all chant daily. You should all daily meet together to perform sankirtan, preach religious principles, and serve the saintly persons. In this way, you will enjoy the bliss of pure love and forget the distress of separation from me. Gauranga consoled the devotees in this way, and then left on his way to Sri Purushottama. Nityananda, Sri Mukunda, Damodar Pandit, and Sri Jagadananda accompanied him. Sri Chaitanya showed his mercy on the way, and thus delivered many atheists and miscreants. His 4 associates loudly chanted the holy names, and the lion-like Gauranga roared in ecstasy. Gradually, they arrived in Shiremuna, where they felt great ecstasy on seeing Lord Gopinath. Gauranga danced, cried, and rushed here and there in the madness of ecstatic love. Nityananda was also overwhelmed with love. He attracted everyone's heart, and then drowned them in that love. Traveling on, they took darshan of Shakshi Gopal, and thereafter Gaur went ahead to Sri Purushottama. When Lord Gauranga saw Lord Jagannath, he experienced the highest ecstasy. He cried, laughed, and then eventually fell unconscious. While Gaur was lying unconscious, the great scholar Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, who was equal in learning to Brihaspati, arrived there. He saw the transcendental symptoms of Mahabhav on the body of Gauranga and noted, he must be a great personality. Then Sarvabhauma took Gauranga to his house. Soon after, Nityananda and the others found Gauranga there, still lying unconscious. All the devotees surrounded Gauranga, began to loudly chant the Hare Krishna mantra until he regained consciousness and got up, chanting Haribol. Sarvabhauma sent for some Mahaprasad and then fed Sri Chaitanya and his associates. After some days, Gaur displayed his transcendental opulences to Sarvabhauma, who thus became filled with devotional jubilation. Previously, Sarvabhauma had been a dry speculator, but by the contact of the touchstone of Lord Gauranga, he became a great devotee. Gauranga thereafter visited the holy places of South India. During his travels, he met Ramananda Roy, who was very expert in the conclusion of the devotional scriptures. My Lord, Advaita Prabhu, said he was an associate of Lord Krishna. Ramananda took the role of the speaker, and Sri Chaitanya took the role of the listener. Their transcendental discussion delights the hearts of the devotees. Gauranga then returned to Sri Purushottama and became immersed in pure love on seeing Lord Jagannath. Gaur accepted Maharaj Prataparudra as his devotee and bestowed mercy on him. He satisfied the king's desire by displaying his divine opulences to him. Out of his unlimited mercy, Gaur displayed his 6-armed form. Seeing that form, the devotees were immersed with love. Some fortunate devotees drank the Ganga-like nectarine beauty of that form, and some lamented because of not seeing it. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the embodiment of ambrosial compassion. That mercy is certainly manifest through the devotees. On the occasion of Jagannath Ratha Yatra, Advaita Prabhu would go to Sri Kshetra to see Gauranga. Many devotees would accompany Advaita, and once Krishna Mishra also decided to go. Shri Advaita told him, "The path is very difficult. It's not necessary for you to go this time." Krishna Mishra replied, "This material world is a useless place. The only thing of value is the shelter of Gauranga's lotus feet." Although Krishna Mishra was generally renounced, when he was absorbed in thought of Gauranga, he became even more renounced. Knowing this, Sita, Krishnadasa's mother, told him, "You don't have time to go to Sri Kshetra. Listen to me. Honor your mother's words. Stay home and worship Krishna, for that will be most auspicious. Your elder brother Achyuta has been renounced from his childhood. I consider you competent to serve Krishna and your father. Along with your wife, Sri Vijaya, take initiation into the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. You will then, without a doubt, attain all perfection by serving Krishna. Saying this, Sita took them both to the bank of the Ganges and initiated them in chanting her perfect mantra. When the couple received that transcendental Krishna mantra, they joyfully offered obeisances and glorified Mother Sita. This is a very brief narration of this confidential event. Meanwhile, Advaita went to Sri Kshetra. Gauranga was filled with ecstasy on receiving his intimate associates, and they wandered the streets enthusiastically chanting the holy names of the Lord. They offered respect to Advaitacharya by keeping him in front. Nityananda and Gauranga remained in the middle, and the rest of the devotees followed behind. The people were enchanted by their wonderful dancing, and everyone drowned in the sweetness of the kirtan. Some people laughed, some cried out of love. The loud chanting of Hare Krishna by some people resembled the rumbling of clouds. After performing Sankirtan for a long time, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his devotees went to take bath. As the pure devotees engaged in water sports, Shri Advaita and Nityananda had great fun. Then, in ecstasy, Gaur had Advaita lie down on the water. Mahaprabhu then climbed on Advaita's chest, and my Lord then floated in the water carrying Gaur. No one could understand the potency that they exhibited at that time. The devotees were all overwhelmed in ecstatic love. Gauranga enjoyed pastimes, lying on Advaita, just as Mahavishnu lies on the bed of Anantashesh. Seeing the wonderful manifestation of their pastimes as human beings, all the devotees chanted, Harih, Harih. After performing the pastime of Sheshashaya in this way, Gauranga went with his associates to honor Advaitacharya's invitation. As Sri Krishna Chaitanya ate along with his associates, Sitanath glorified him in great ecstasy. I was unable to see this wonderful pastime, which could be seen only by the most fortunate. I was purified simply by drinking the nectar of these pastimes as they emanated from the lotus mouth of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. Praying at the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya and Shri Advaita, always desiring the mercy, I, Ishana, narrate Shri Advaita Prakasha.